Thank you once again for joining us, and of course right now I want to welcome everybody who is watching this video on YouTube. Keep watching all our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave us comments afterwards. We're getting a lot of great response and a lot of people watching the YouTube videos, and it really increases and blesses what we do. And you know, thoughts increase by being given away. So all of you who join on ACI and Gather, and all of you who join by watching the YouTube videos, you're just helping increase these thoughts and strengthen them in your mind and in the minds of all the holy children of God everywhere. So I want to again thank you all for being here, because this is my birthday celebration. Gather. Yes, I know, we are celebrating my birthday. My body apparently will be 65 years old on Wednesday.
Get out of here.
Yes. Don't ever tell me I look good for my age, though, because that's only something you tell old people. You never see a 30-year-old and say, you look good for your age. You don't see a 25-year-old and say, you look good for your age. You see a 65-year-old and you say, you look good for your age, which means I recognize that you're old. And so I really, as Reverend Kelly said, just tell me I look good. I look good. That's good. That's all I need to know. I know I am turning 65 because on my driver's license it says June 7, 1952. And just in case that's not enough for those people, I know it's very common these days for public officials to have to show birth certificates. So I brought my birth certificate today. It's my real authentic birth certificate, not a copy.
We were wondering.
Mr. Trump, if you want to look at it, it's a very fine birth certificate from the state of New York Department of Health. And it does say that I was born Anthony Carmen Ponticello, Jr. on June 7, 1952. And I still have my birth certificate. Yeah, the whole idea of a physical birth is weird, because you look back in your mind just travels back through what appears to be the past, and you know, you have no real connection to that event. I don't remember it. I don't have much connection to much of what happened to me, even as a young person. So it's pretty abstract, this idea, and it's probably pretty meaningless, but the world tends to make it meaningful, and 65 is one of those significant ones, and so that's why it's the big one. That's what this says there. It's the big one. So I'm fine about everybody knowing that A Course in Miracles says, when you have become willing to hide nothing, you will not only be willing to enter into communion, but will also understand peace and joy. So I got nothing to hide. The body, turning 65-year-old is fine. I officially am now covered by Medicare. That happened on the 1st of this month. I handled all the paperwork. I now have a dental program. I've never had a dental program before. I have an eyeglass program, which means I can get new glasses every 2 years. It'll be covered by my Medicare plan. I even get a free gym membership. I got to look it up and get a free gym membership now. And once you're 65, you always get the senior discount wherever you go. So you don't have to ask, what's the senior age anymore? Nobody has an age above 65. So you always get the senior discount. You can just ask for it. Thinking about, being a senior citizen and being 65, the idea that comes up is one of this idea of grace. I feel God's grace. And there's two wonderful Course in Miracles workbook lessons. One is by grace I live, by grace I am released. So I feel God's grace, and I live that way, and I choose to live that way, and I choose to be released that way. And the other one is grace is in that lesson it says, grace is the acceptance of the love of God within the world of seeming hate and fear. By grace alone, the hate and fear are gone. So when we accept that grace, and I feel it is God's grace that I'm here and turning 65, even within this world that sometimes seems to have a lot of hate and fear in it, because of that grace, that hate and fear just dissolves. It's just really not there in my perception. I can connect to something else, and I can see a different world. Another lesson, actually the lesson right before that one, is your grace is given me, I claim it now. So it's just a matter of claiming, and I really, really want to claim God's grace to even a greater extent on this occasion of turning 65. So grace is a very interesting word. I've talked about grace numerous times over the past. And you look it up in the dictionary, especially the idea of God's grace or God's blessing, and it says the free and unmerited favor of God. And that's important to know. It's unmerited because you don't have to earn it. It's not given to you because of merit, because of something that you did. It's given to you just because of who you are. You do nothing. You have to don't do anything to claim God's grace. You just are holy children of God. You have God's blessing. You have God's grace. But grace is a bigger word than that. And all the meanings are actually related. And I've talked about that before, so I don't want to get into that now. But remember, grace also means like graceful, like simple elegance or refinement of movement. Like a ballet dancer is graceful, moving in a way that's refined or elegant or beautiful to watch. It also means courteous goodwill. If you treat others with grace, you treat them with a courteous goodwill, or an attractively polite manner of behaving. And so when I say I want to claim God's grace, I mean I want that blessing, but I also really want to claim, to a greater extent, to the full extent that I can, being graceful. I want to be graceful. I want to show the simple elegance and refinement of manner and behaving. I like that. Being a senior citizen is a thought form in our culture, and as you approach it, and as you walk right into it like I'm doing right now, you feel it. I mean, there are all the thoughts. I know a whole bunch of well-meaning friends are going to send me wishes, and they'll send me some funny joke of a card or an email card or an internet card, which will be some joke about getting old. And I know they mean well. If you haven't sent that yet, please don't send that. It's not funny. To me, it's just a manifestation of the thought system that we think when you get older, you lose something. You lose some sort of vitality or health or something of that nature. And I don't intend to buy into that, nor do I intend to manifest that. I am going to be gracefully vital and alive even in my older years. And I think we have to be aware of those thoughts, because those thoughts are actually, A Course in Miracles tells us, dangerous. Those are dangerous thoughts to have. It says, are thoughts then dangerous to bodies? Yes. The thoughts that seem to kill are those which teach the thinker that he can be killed, and so he dies because of what he learned. We die because of what we learn. And there's this great learning out there that's been way overlearned, that as your body gets older, as more and more years progress from that date that's on my birth certificate, that these things happen, and that eventually debilitation, loss of vitality, and eventually death. And I'm very aware of that thought form, and I am very aware that through the grace of God and through being graceful, I don't have to buy into that thought form. I can meet it, I have the strength to walk through it, and that's indeed what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do that with all the dignity and all the respect and all the gracefulness that I can have. So when I was thinking about this past week of this idea of being senior, I kept getting this message, and somebody actually said it. They said, Señor. They said the Spanish word, Señor. Now obviously Señor and senior are very related words. But the nuance of meaning with Señor is very different than senior. And I know there's some people here who are more connected to the Latin or Spanish-speaking world, and they know what I'm talking about. So when you say Señor, that's what you say to an adult man, and it's a sign of respect. It's a sign of respect. Señor Rudy, Señor Brad. It's like saying sir or Mr. So it's like Mr. Colombini, Mr. Patu. You say that. It's a way of showing respect. So I am not going to be a senior citizen, I'm going to be a Señor citizen. I am now a Señor citizen. If anybody asks me, they say, are you a senior? I'll just say, I'm a Señor. Because I am going to show that dignity and respect, and I am going to elicit that dignity and respect. And I actually see my mind has been moving in this direction for the past couple of years anyway, because I frequently call people sir. Even as I'm walking through my apartment in the morning and Reverend Peter is there, I'll say, how are you, sir? And I mean that because I'm greeting him with respect and dignity. And I say sir and ma'am and madam to many people as just a sign that I appreciate the dignity and the honor that is at their core. I mean, a lot of people in the spiritual community will say namaste to people, you know, the divinity within me salutes the divinity within you. And I'm great with that, but you know, namaste, it's not an English word, and we have to like do a quick little translation thing in our mind, and maybe it will someday pervade our language and it will be just as common. I actually think it was a little more prevalent about 10 years ago. I don't hear quite as many people saying it now as they used to. They tried it, and it was good, but it didn't really catch on to the culture. But you could say sir, or Mr., or ma'am, or madam. How are you today, madam? And that's in our language. And that actually means a very similar thing. It's a gesture of respect and dignity, and I claim that, and I want to show that. But I want to claim it as well. I want to behave in a way that elicits people to think of me that way, which is a graceful way to behave. It's a way of behaving with dignity and respect. And that's why I chose the reading for today. There's a couple of passages. It says, do not present a false and unworthy picture of yourself to others, and do not accept such a picture of them yourselves. So that dignity and respect is because we're worthy, holy children of God. And that's what we want to present, and that's what we want to see. In another place in the reading it says, the kingdom of heaven is the right of the soul whose beauty and dignity are far beyond doubt, beyond perception, and stand forever as the mark of love of God for his creations. So our soul is dignified. Our soul is graceful. If we're going to be manifesting a body and a behavior here in this world, I want it to reflect my true nature. I want it to reflect my graceful nature. I want it to reflect my dignity. I want it to reflect my beauty. And that's what I am endeavoring to do. I've also noticed that this past year, as I address people, I have been addressing people just naturally with terms of endearment. That I frequently say, dear. How are you doing today, dear? And I say that both to men and women and people who are gender neutral.
Thank you.
How are you, dear? It's not a gender-related comment. It's an endearment. It's a gesture of means that I'm so happy and blessed to see you. How are you, dear? And I say, how are you, sweetheart? Which I also don't think is a gender-related term of endearment, because it means my heart feels sweet when I see you. How are you, sweetheart? So nice to see you, sweetheart. And I've heard other people say it, and that actually has made way more inroads in the culture, at least in my culture, than namaste ever did. So it's that endearment. It's sweetheart. It's dear. It's ma'am. It's sir. It's a way of just acknowledging how much we love each other. Just how much we love each other and honor each other and respect each other. I was calling some people sweetheart, and some people don't like it. And first of all, some men have a little bit of trouble if you're a man and you call them sweetheart and they don't quite understand the context. But also some women don't like it. And I have to admit that sometimes I have used the term a little sarcastically, like sweetheart, and then you sort of give them an insult. Which is a way of making your viewpoint known I don't know how graceful that is. I want to let go of that if I can. To the best of my ability, I want to let go of that. I don't think that is the most graceful way to be. And that's not how I want to be as a Señor citizen. I want to be more dignified in my manner. And I look back at my life and my strange 65 years that I can't even quite grasp what the hell that means. I can hardly grasp the present. Talk about, trying to figure out what the hell 65 years mean. But when I look back, I have to admit that I've not always been graceful. And that sometimes I've actually been a little harsh, and sometimes I've been a little stinging, and sometimes I've been a little blunt. We all have, and that's fine. I totally forgive myself for doing all that. And I'm making the dedication to kick it up a notch in terms of not doing that, not being harsh, to be really graceful, to be deserving of the Señor title. And when I was thinking about this and thinking about what that will mean for me, and I'm thinking about the times when I have not been that way, and how I forgive myself and how I've asked other people to forgive me, I keep thinking of this song by Leonard Cohen. Now, those of you who know me know that I have always, well, for many years, for decades, been a Leonard Cohen fan. He's a singer-songwriter. Made his transition this past year, 81, 82, something like that. But I first started listening to Leonard Cohen when I first went to college in 1970, and he already had a big hit album at that time. So there's a song on his first album that probably many of you will know, and maybe you won't know it, but it has been covered by other people. They made a whole movie out of the song with Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn years ago, you claiming it as a title. And the song is Bird on a Wire. And it's a beautiful song that Leonard wrote and recorded in 1969, which I think, if my math is right, is 48 years ago. So 48 years ago, Leonard Cohen recorded this song, Bird on a Wire, and it's really a beautiful song about somebody realizing that they tried their best, they tried to be free, and sometimes it didn't work out as well as maybe they wanted it to work out, but he's really just asking for everybody to let it go, and here he is. So I'm going to end by, to the best of my ability, singing Bird on a Wire, with no accompaniment, which is good, because then I can sing it wherever I want. Like a bird on a wire, like a drunk in a midnight choir, I have tried in my way to be free. Like a worm on a hook, like a knight from some old-fashioned book, I have saved all my ribbons for thee. If I have been unkind, I hope that you can just let it go by. If I have been untrue, I hope you know it was never to you. Oh, like a baby stillborn, like a beast with his horn, I have torn everyone who reached out to me. But I swear by this song and by all that I have done wrong, I will make it all up to thee. I saw a beggar leaning on his wooden crutch. He said to me, "You must not ask for so much." And a pretty woman leaning in her darkened door, she cried to me, "Hey, why not ask for more?" Oh, a bird on a wire, like a drunk in a midnight choir. I have tried in my way to be free. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.